Welcome back. Tonight, we're venturing into the open road, those endless stretches of asphalt that seem ordinary by day, but transform after dark. When your headlights are the only light for miles, even the most familiar highway can become a place of isolation and fear. The stories you'll hear tonight are true accounts from drivers who faced the unexplainable. These encounters left them shaken, forever changing how they see a long night's drive. So, turn down the lights, lock your doors, and settle in as we explore 3 chilling highway horror stories. Let's begin. Our first story comes from David, a seasoned long-haul trucker who spent countless nights navigating the vast American highways back in the late 90s. His life was a rhythm of roaring engines, endless asphalt, and the comforting hum of the CB radio. He was driving a particularly lonely stretch of New Mexico highway, a ribbon of blacktop cutting through the desolate desert landscape. One cold November night, the kind that chills you to the bone, around 2 a.m., David was pushing through fatigue, fighting to keep his eyes open and his rig on course. The monotony of the road was broken only by the occasional passing headlight and the unwavering stars above. Suddenly, in the beam of his headlights, he spotted a figure on the roadside. A young woman, seemingly out of place in time, standing alone in a thin white dress. The desert air was frigid, a stark contrast to her flimsy attire. She looked vulnerable, exposed to the elements and the vast emptiness surrounding her. There were no cars, no houses, no signs of civilization for miles in any direction, just empty darkness stretching to the horizon. The silence was deafening, amplifying the strangeness of the situation. She stood perfectly still, almost like a statue, one hand raised in a hesitant wave, a silent plea for help in the dead of night. Her face was pale, almost translucent in the stark light, and her expression was unreadable, a blank canvas that offered no clues to her story. Against company policy, which strictly forbade picking up hitchhikers, David felt a pang of sympathy and slowed, unable to simply leave her stranded in such a desolate and dangerous place. As he brought the massive truck to a halt, she began walking slowly toward his vehicle, not running with urgency, but gliding with an unnatural grace, her movements almost ethereal. Her eyes were dark and empty, devoid of any discernible emotion, like bottomless pools reflecting the infinite night sky. An inexplicable chill, far colder than the desert night, crept into the cab, raising goosebumps on David's arms. Every instinct screamed at David to get out of there, to ignore his compassion and prioritize his own safety. A primal fear gripped him, warning him of an unseen danger. Overwhelmed by a sudden surge of terror, he slammed the truck into drive and floored the accelerator, the powerful engine roaring to life as he sped off into the darkness, heart pounding in his chest like a drum, not daring to look back and confront the unsettling figure he had left behind. After what felt like an eternity, miles down the road, the initial panic began to subside, replaced by a gnawing sense of guilt and unease. He couldn't shake the image of the woman from his mind. Finally, curiosity and guilt made him steel himself and check his mirror. The road behind him was completely empty. No sign of the woman, no indication that anyone had ever been there at all. Shaken and bewildered, David pulled into a brightly lit truck stop, seeking solace and answers. He found an old-timer nursing a cup of coffee at the counter and hesitantly recounted his experience, expecting ridicule and disbelief. Instead, the man listened intently, his expression growing increasingly grave with each word. When David finished, the old-timer simply nodded slowly, his eyes filled with a knowing sadness. "You saw the lady of the highway," he said, his voice low and somber. He explained that for decades, countless drivers had reported the same chilling apparition, a ghostly figure that haunted that lonely stretch of road. The description was always the same: a young woman in a white dress, forever wandering the highway, a phantom figure seeking passage in the dead of night. Some say she's the restless ghost of a bride tragically killed on her wedding night, forever searching for her lost love. Others believe she's a lost spirit, forever searching for a ride home, eternally stranded on that desolate highway. And the local legend warns of a dire fate. Those who are foolish enough, or perhaps compassionate enough, to let her into their vehicle are never seen again. Their trucks are often found abandoned on the side of the road, their cabs empty, the drivers vanished without a trace, leaving behind only unanswered questions and a chilling mystery. David, deeply shaken by the old-timer's tale, never drove that particular stretch of highway at night again. The haunting memory of her empty, soulless eyes remained etched in his mind, a constant reminder of the night he encountered the lady of the highway. Sometimes the road holds more than just memories of past journeys. It holds the secrets and the restless spirits of the dead, forever bound to the places where their lives ended. So, if you ever find yourself driving a lonely highway at night and you see her standing by the roadside, remember David's story and keep driving. Some rides are simply never meant to be given, no matter how compelling the circumstances may seem. The desert keeps its secrets close, and not all travelers who venture into its vast expanse make it home. Some become a part of its lore, forever wandering its desolate paths. David was incredibly lucky that night. He listened to his fear, heeded the warning signs, and escaped with his life. Others, unfortunately, weren't so fortunate, and their stories serve as a chilling reminder of the dangers that lurk in the shadows. The lady of the highway still waits, alone in the dark, patiently waiting for her next victim. Will you be the next unsuspecting soul to see her standing by the roadside, her pale face illuminated by your headlights? Tonight we delve into the realm of the unexplained, where shadows dance and reality blurs. Our next story comes from Clara, a tale that chills the bone and leaves you questioning what lurks just beyond the veil of perception. It happened on a night much like this, driving a fog-shrouded mountain road in West Virginia, a ribbon of asphalt snaking through the ancient peaks, where the air hangs heavy with mist and the trees whisper secrets to the wind. Midnight, the witching hour. Dense fog, a suffocating blanket that swallowed the world beyond the hood of her car. Visibility was near zero, the road ahead a ghostly suggestion, and not another car in sight, a lonely journey into the heart of the Appalachian night. The silence was broken only by the hum of the engine and the rhythmic swish of the windshield wipers. That is, until headlights appeared in her rearview mirror, piercing the fog like twin daggers. Initially, relief washed over her, the comforting thought of another human presence on this desolate stretch. But that relief quickly turned to dread. Because it wasn't just any vehicle. It was an old, rusted truck barreled up behind her, a relic of a bygone era, seemingly resurrected from the junkyard of forgotten machines. High beams blinding, an intense, unwavering glare that filled her entire field of vision. And the engine? Eerily silent. The truck clung to her bumper, a menacing shadow refusing to be shaken. It was as if the truck was an extension of her own vehicle, matching every move, never backing off, a relentless pursuer in the dead of night. Panic set in. There was nowhere to escape on the narrow, winding road. Each curve offered no respite, only the looming presence behind her. The guardrails offered a false sense of security, but she knew that veering off the road would be a disaster. She sped up. The truck kept pace, an unholy dance of predator and prey. She slowed. It crept closer, the rusted grille seeming to leer at her from the mirror. Through the glare, she couldn't see the driver. No face, no silhouette, nothing but the blinding light. Just the menacing grille filling her mirror, a chrome-toothed maw ready to devour her whole. The chase felt endless, a nightmare unfolding in slow motion, the truck impossibly silent, adding to the surreal horror of the situation. On a straightaway, Clara floored it, the engine screaming in protest as she pushed it to its limits, desperate to break free from the clutches of this phantom truck. After 30 seconds that felt like an eternity, she risked a glance back. The truck was gone. No headlights, no sound, just empty roads stretching behind her, swallowed by the fog. There were no turnoffs, no hidden driveways, nowhere it could have gone. The road was a continuous ribbon of asphalt, offering no escape for her pursuer. Shaken to her core, she pulled over to the side of the road, her hands trembling as she scanned the darkness, desperately seeking any sign of the truck. Nothing. Locals whisper of phantom vehicles haunting these mountain passes. Tales passed down through generations, warnings whispered around crackling fires. Ghostly trucks, omens of disaster, harbingers of misfortune that stalk the lonely roads, forever searching for their next victim. Clara never found an explanation for what happened that night. Was it a figment of her imagination, a trick of the light and fog, or something far more sinister? The memory still haunts her drives, a constant reminder of the night she stared into the abyss, and the abyss stared back. Sometimes the road itself is haunted, a conduit for restless spirits and echoes of past tragedies. By the past, by tragedy, by things that refuse to rest, lingering in the shadows, forever bound to the asphalt. If you see headlights in the fog, pray they're real, and not a reflection of your deepest fears. Some chases never end, they simply fade into the fog, waiting to be reignited. The vanishing truck is still out there, lurking in the shadows, waiting for its next target, another unsuspecting traveler to terrorize. Clara survived, but not everyone is so lucky. Some are lost forever to the mountains, their stories swallowed by the mist. The mountains keep their secrets, guarding them jealously, refusing to relinquish the tales of those who have vanished within their embrace. And sometimes the road behind you is emptier than it should be, a void where something once was, a chilling reminder of what you might have lost. Drive safe. Not everything you see in your mirror is alive. Some things are better left unseen, their presence a harbinger of something far more sinister. Some things are just passing through, fleeting glimpses into a world beyond our comprehension, a reminder that we are not alone on these lonely roads. Our final story is a stark reminder, a chilling tale from the asphalt arteries of America. It serves as a cautionary note that the scariest things on the road aren't always supernatural entities, ghostly hitchhikers, or phantom trucks. Sometimes the true horror lies in the tangible, the human element, the darkness that lurks within our own species. Mark, a resourceful college student, was embarking on a classic cross-country adventure, a rite of passage. To stretch his meager budget, he decided to sleep in his trusty car at various rest stops along the way, a common practice for budget travelers. In the dead of night, under the cold, uncaring gaze of a nearly empty Nebraska rest area, a desolate stretch of highway solitude, he carefully chose a spot under the flickering security lights, hoping the artificial glow would offer some semblance of safety, and tried to drift off to sleep, the low hum of passing trucks a constant lullaby. Something woke him with a jolt, a subtle sound that cut through the white noise, or maybe just a primal feeling of unease, a sense that he was no longer alone. He cautiously looked out, peering into the darkness. Nothing seemed immediately amiss. The only signs of life were the distant hum of 18-wheelers barreling down the highway and a lone, dark sedan parked at the far edge of the parking lot, its presence adding to the unsettling atmosphere. He tried to convince himself it was nothing, just road fatigue playing tricks on his mind, and attempted to drift back to sleep. But then, he heard a soft, distinct scraping sound outside, close to the car. A dark shadow flickered fleetingly past his window, a momentary obscuring of the already dim light. His heart pounding in his chest, adrenaline surging through his veins, Mark saw a man in a dark hoodie standing silently by his car. The man's face was hidden in shadow, obscured by the hood, leaving only an unsettling impression of someone just watching, observing, waiting. The man began to move closer, each step slow and deliberate, a calculated advance that amplified the sense of dread. Panic rising, Mark fumbled desperately for his keys, his hands shaking as he tried to locate them in the darkness. He knew he had to act fast as the stranger reached for the car door handle, his intentions unknown but undeniably menacing. He finally managed to start the car, the sudden burst of headlights momentarily illuminating the man's face. It was gaunt, pale, and intense, a mask of unsettling focus. The man didn't flinch or recoil from the sudden light. Instead, he lunged forward, his hand outstretched, attempting to grab the door. Reacting instinctively, Mark slammed the car into reverse, tires screeching as he sped away from the rest stop, leaving the man standing motionless in the parking lot, his dark eyes following Mark's escape. Mark didn't dare stop until the first rays of sunrise painted the horizon, the adrenaline coursing through his veins keeping him wide awake and hyper-alert. He drove for hours, fueled by fear and the lingering image of the man's face. Shaken and disturbed, he eventually called the police to report the incident, but with little information and no evidence, there was little they could do. The experience left a lasting scar, and Mark vowed to never sleep at a rest stop again. The true horror of the encounter lay in the unknown, the unanswered questions that haunted Mark's thoughts. What did the man want? Was it robbery, assault, or something even more sinister? Why did he just stand and watch, a silent predator in the night? Vulnerability is a predator's opportunity, an open invitation to exploit weakness. Sometimes the scariest monsters aren't lurking in the shadows of folklore, but walk among us, hidden behind ordinary faces. Even in places meant to offer respite and safety to weary travelers, danger can find you, lurking just beyond the reach of the flickering lights. Trust your instincts. That gut feeling is often your best defense. Stay alert, be aware of your surroundings, and don't dismiss that nagging sense of unease. Mark was lucky. He escaped unharmed. But not everyone is so fortunate. The road is never as empty as it seems. There are always eyes watching, unseen dangers lurking just beyond the headlight's beam. Be careful out there. Highways connect us, but as we've heard, they can also be stages for the unexplained and the terrifying. These stories remind us, when you're alone on a dark road, you're truly isolated. Trust your instincts, and remember, sometimes, the unknown is closer than you think. If you've had a chilling experience on the road, share it in the comments below. Thank you for joining me tonight. Stay safe, and keep your eyes on the road. If you enjoyed these stories, subscribe for more journeys into the darkness. Until next time, drive carefully. The night holds secrets,